Hello, I'm Roy Rollocks, founder and lead business coach at VisionWorks. And today I would like to introduce you to morning affirmations at VisionWorks. We are proud and excited to bring to you a technique utilized by many top performers in just about every field of endeavor. So what is an affirmation? An affirmation is an oral or written statement confirming something to be true even when you don't feel like it. VisionWorks affirmations are simple, positive statements declaring specific goals or outcomes for your day. These empowering declarations can have profound effect on the conscious and subconscious mind. So why affirmations? Positive affirmations can help you create positive emotions, which can improve your mental, emotional, and physical health. The awareness that affirmations produce makes you more likely to challenge negative or defeating thoughts as they arise. Research on affirmations indicates that they can boost your problem solving and decision-making skills, help you to perform better under pressure, help you to focus on abundance rather than lack, and develop an attitude of gratitude. So how do you make the best of VisionWorks morning affirmation? First, find a place free of distraction. Secondly, remain calm. Smile if it feels natural to you. Say your affirmation slowly and clearly. That's number 3. Fourthly, repeat the affirmations at least 3 times, really focusing on the meaning of each word. We are convinced that these affirmations, when added to your daily routine, will empower you for greater impact. So look out for more of our promos and subscribe, and you will receive our podcast once a week that you can repeat daily to set your day on the right path. See you on the inside.
Hello, good day, and welcome to Pivot to Profit, a panel discussion put on by VisionWorks and its partners as part of Global Entrepreneurship Week, hosted by Youth Business of Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Roy Rollocks, and I'm the Impact Consultant and founder at VisionWorks. VisionWorks is a team of business consultants, trainers, and coaches committed to helping individuals and businesses thrive in a very volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. Some call it a VUCA world. We guide our clients to unearth their creative genius and direct their efforts towards innovation. You know, that's the buzzword today, all about innovation. Of course, we've seen this fuel ideas for sustainability and create transformational impact that yields harmonious business and personal success. So I mentioned Global Entrepreneurship Week. If you did not know, Global Entrepreneurship Week, or GEW as it's affectionately called, is the world's largest celebration of innovators and job creators who launch startups and bring ideas to life. They drive economic growth and expand human welfare. This year, the theme is to reboot, rethink, and regenerate. It has been over a year or more, 2 years really, since the COVID pandemic unfolded, and we now look ahead for the serious work of rebooting our communities and our economies for a better, more sustainable, equitable post-pandemic world. Our national borders and boundaries are as porous to new ideas as they are to coronavirus, making it an imperative for us to seize this opportunity to reboot, rethink, and regenerate. In keeping with this theme, VisionWorks, along with its partners, Launchpad Consultancy, LSC Productions, Ingenuity Business Development, and Timely Entrepreneur, we are proud to host 3 events for Global Entrepreneurship Week that happens in November every year under the banner Pivot to Profit. Now, pivot and pivoting, these words have become very common terms in pandemic times. And in a recent survey conducted by VisionWorks, we saw that many persons indicated that they were experiencing great challenges in adjusting to this new normal. And so they find themselves not being well positioned to take advantage of the opportunities that exist and that are still emerging. And in fact, they're not even aware of some of these opportunities. So this series aims to equip participants and all of those of you that are viewing to the tools needed to effectively pivot, survive, and thrive in a very volatile business environment. So, our objective is to inform about the new opportunities, educate about new and emerging business realities, the mindsets and the methods we need, and as well inspire us to be more and to do more. So, taking an entrepreneur's perspective, this webinar will explore what it means to pivot a business and help you identify the mindsets, methods, and processes needed to really pivot as a way of doing business in general and a way of doing it in the future. So, the program today consists of 3 presentations of about 10 minutes each. After each presentation, we're going to have a Q&A where you are able to post your questions, comments in the comment section using the following hashtag ask presenter's name underscore and the question. That's hashtag ask presenter. Let's say it's me, ask role, and the question. If you have any tips or comments, you can say hashtag my tip and the tip, right? So our presenters today are Kevin Sandy, a technology expert, Randall Douglas, a marketing expert, and Alina Lewis, a success coach. Each presenter is passionate about seeing individuals achieve personal success, and their ideas were well developed with you in mind, especially managing this pandemic. So let's meet our first panelist, Mr. Kevin Sandy. He is a technology coach and strategist and principal at Sandy's Innovative Technology Solutions, which has been in existence since the early 2000s. He coaches teachers, consultants, and entrepreneurs to leverage digital technology. This way, they can monetize their expertise, serve more clients, and generate more income while working less hours, right? Kevin presents himself as a reliable expert and in the world of technology, and we know reliability is important, offering compassionate and specialized support to a client. His vision is to equip Caribbean employees and entrepreneurs to create and export much more products and services around the world. So certainly, Mr. Sandy is well equipped to lead us off on the first part of our discussion on having the right mindset. So, Mr. Sandy, just before we jump in, how was this pivoting time for you? No doubt you probably would have had to pivot as well.
Extremely conversion, extreme conversion, I have to say,
Yes.
from
Yes.
one angle to the next.
When you say extreme conversion, what do you mean?
I, I actually left my job.
Wow. Wow. What a pivot.
I
Excellent.
actually left
Excellent.
my job during this time.
So this question about pivoting is very personal to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it
Well,
is
great. Well, no
indeed,
doubt,
indeed.
in addition to your expertise, we're going to get some of those personal experiences as
Mhm.
we delve into the topic of the pivoting mindset. So over to you, Kevin.
Yes, and really and truly, thank you very much, Roll. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and it's always a pleasure to help our people understand the changes that are taking place and what they need to do to get it done, to make the goal, to make the grade, to survive and to thrive in what they're doing, right? And today, of course, we're looking at a pivot mindset. What does it mean? Really and truly, when we deal with mindset, we're talking about belief system or thought patterns, what we naturally do, which sometimes develop into a culture. Sometimes you go to one person's home and they're doing things a certain way, but when you go to another person's home, they do it a particular different way. That's because they're naturally and culturally developed to actually do things that way. Whether it's in the kitchen or in the room or in the yard, they do it a certain way. That's because their belief system, the ideas and the concepts that they share, develop their mindset and the way they do things, what they value also. What's important, what's not important, what's something that they will make noise about and one thing they will leave as casual, what they're passionate about and what they are not passionate about. All of these things has to do with belief systems and mindset. Creates your standards, your preferences, and those things you hold them true to you, right? So that's your mindset, really and truly. Now, a pivot mindset is a mindset that is geared towards change. It's a mindset where you're willing to be agile. And it's a big word that's being used in the entrepreneurial world these days, being agile, which really means being flexible, being adaptable, right? And of course, with that comes resourcefulness and innovation. It's the ability to take a detour towards your vision. Okay, We're creating this right now, but right now people are not interested in this. Let's pivot. Let's see what are people interested in that we could still serve and still achieve our vision. You take a detour, all right? That shift of goal or strategy or to accommodate change in your industry, right? Or customer preferences which have changed. That's the pivoting mindset that is needed today, okay? And of course, those factors will impact your bottom line, of course, all right? Now, what are the traditional mindsets that you might have to adjust when it comes to pivoting? Now, you might have to look at your traditional mindsets, which are things that you hold true, which have become obsolete. They can no longer work in this industry, the change in the climate, economic climate. So you have to change it in your industry. Now your industry might use certain tools, use certain methods. You have to change the methods, you have to change the tools, right? Ones that operate without clear reasonable benefits is a traditional mindset. In other words, there's no real reason why they adopted it. They just use it because somebody said to use it, but nobody understood why. What was the reason for developing it? And it becomes a tradition, right? When you're pivoting, you need to look at what are we using that is just a tradition and is not necessarily related to a reasonable cause, a reasonable outcome, that this is really the best way to do it. You know, there's this philosophy of this is how we do it here, but really and truly, that this is how we do it here mentality can actually crush your business because you have to change the way in which you do it. All right. From traditional to something else. All right. Why is it important, right? What are actually benefits? Now, benefits of pivoting include sustainable growth. I mean, not as just surviving, more than just surviving. It is because the trend is changing. I need to get on the new trend so that the company grow, my operations grow. Of course, influence is another one. Influence allows you to become an authority leader in your industry because you are growing in a difficult time. It means somebody is saying, wait, how come you are growing? Everybody's complaining. What are you doing differently? That way, people look to you for leadership, look to you for authority. All right. And that is what has happened a lot to me. Innovation, because things have changed, you have to find new ways of doing things. You have to innovate. You have to bring in the resourcefulness. And then you might even be able to invent ways of doing things, right? So it's not just using other things, but you're combining old and new, create something new, or invent a completely new product, new service, new methodology. So innovation is also another benefit of pivoting. All right. Now, 7 key mindsets that needs to be used now that you need to pivot towards now includes one, start with the end in mind. The end means you must be working with a purposeful vision, not just a goal, not just something you're trying to create. What is the plan? What is the actual purpose you're trying to create so that the plan could change to suit the purpose? The vision is steady, the purpose is steady, but the plans, the strategies could change. You must have that end in mind, that purposeful end in mind, or else you wouldn't be able to make it. You must make that adjustment and say, what do I really, really want? What is the purpose of me doing this? Lifelong learning. It's not about just going to school when you went to school. Lifelong learning has to be a way of life where you're learning every day. As a matter of fact, the futurist, well known futurist Alvin Toffler said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. You are really as successful as you can be this in this era if you can learn, unlearn, and relearn. Not necessarily certifications. Don't go and get another certification. Focus on trying to find out what do I need to learn. It might not necessarily be the need for certification. You might just need to learn something new. That's all. Because of this, one of the things we have to be careful about, third mindset, is lead with principles, not power. Lead with principles, not force. Look for principles. Principles like integrity, gratitude, conviction always pay out. As a matter of fact, what these principles do, they allow you to attract opportunities, attract wealth, and attract favor instead of trying to run after them. Instead of working hard to get them, they actually come to you. You actually find yourself, people calling you because you lead with principles. You operate by principles, not forcing people, not running down people, but how can I trust you? All right. Next principle, number 4, add massive value. Focus on adding more value to clients than anyone else in your industry. This is crucial. Find out more and more and more what your clients need. And that leads to number 5, know your clients. As a matter of fact, invest more time learning about your clients more than yourself. Learn about your clients more than your products and your services. Know their ins and outs, their fears, their frustrations, their aspirations, their dreams, their pain, their pleasures. Know their inside and out, where they live, what they love, their favorite ice cream. Enjoy learning about your client. Number 6, value people over money. It is a big one. In other words, love people, but use and manage things. Focus on valuing people more. That's a big shift that has to take place. You know why? A lot of people are trying to grab what people have, they're trying to get from other people. But when you focus on loving people, which connects to adding value to people, what happens is that the people realize this person is authentic, this person is genuine, this person really care about me, not just my money, but about me specifically. And then you learn to manage the things, the resources, the money, the resources, the environment, the time, and so forth. Manage it. Okay? But love people, value people, and love people over money. Number 7, right back to to pivoting. Be agile, flexible, adaptable. There are no guarantees. I want you to say that when you wake up in the morning. There are no guarantees. Today, let me see what changes I need to make. What do I need to do differently? What adjustments do I need to make? All right. Be agile. So 7, I will say, are those adjustments. Now, how can we change our mindset? 3 major steps. Choose the mindset that you need to change. Interrupt the mindset that you presently have. And 3, practice the new mindset over and over again. As Vision Works will say, affirmations, right? This is very important. You need to decide on a replacement. The way you change your mindset is not by trying to get rid of the old one, by replacing it with a new one. That's the way you do it. Replacing. So you find out what is the pain am I experiencing or am I losing out on? What am I losing out on if I don't change this? And what is the pleasure or the benefits I will get if I get this new mindset? If I develop this new attitude, this new way of thinking, what is the benefit? So, what am I losing if I keep this way, doing the thing this way? And what am I going to benefit? How am I going to benefit if I make the changes and do it this way instead? And then to interrupt means find something that will catch you when you are actually practicing the old mindset. So, it will catch you in your tracks. Hey, stop that. You need to find something that will interrupt the pattern. That's the third thing. The second thing, interrupt. Because you will keep doing the old pattern until you interrupt it enough and then actually consciously be practicing this new benefit, meditating on it, feeling it, expecting it, going over it until you get it, until it becomes normal, a new culture, a new mindset, a new habit. All right. So that's how you change a mindset to a pivoting mindset. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this.
Man, I great. Thank you so much, Kevin. I mean, you've given us more than a mouthful to chew on there. I was just really referring to my notes here about the importance of knowing your why. I think that's where you started because we have to know why we're doing what we're doing, right? And sometimes we could get into, listen, man, I just want to make money. But why? We need to go a little deeper. So I like how you encourage us to go a little deeper. And I love the 7 points that you've pulled out, beginning with the end of mind, lifelong learning, leading by principles, adding value, knowing your client, valuing people rather than money, right? And be agile. Powerful, powerful recommendations there. I wanted to go back to the question of value. And at
Mm,
this time, I'd like to bring on, the rest of our panel, and they can chime in, on the question of value creation
mhm.
in this particular environment and space that we're talking about. So, welcome again to our panel, Miss Lewis and Mr. Douglas.
Hi.
You're going to meet them a little later as well, right? But the question of value creation in this new world, in this new reality, has certainly changed, right? The way in which we create value. I grew up on a system of you go out, you work hard, you know, and somebody will recognize that and pay me for it, right? How have these things changed in the pre-pandemic times?
Mhm.
And I'll throw that
But
out to anyone.
if I go back to the value, I can think of most of the times when I listen to people, what I ask them is, okay, how was it when you were working hard? And what they will talk about is the recognition or the value they did for the employer, and which was very good. And or what they did for the business. So somebody will have like a self-employed operation, and they will talk about the hard work they did for the business. They will not talk about how the client felt, how the person felt, the comments they made, their critique, their advice. They wouldn't talk about what their needs are, if changes they would like to make. This person, as a matter of fact, some of them will actually complain because somebody spoke about the product that they're serving, that they needed something extra. They would
Yes,
complain about it instead of saying, really? Okay, well, let me take a look at that. In other words, the value change is not the value change of the value is not about pleasing just the employer or just pleasing the business, but it's pleasing who is the ultimate client. Because if I'm working in a company and I do something that allow the company to attract more clients, even though the employer might not have loved it completely, watch now, I will get more than a pat on my back. I might get a raise
yes,
because wait up, what? You actually did this thing, and 10 more persons coming, 100 persons coming in because you focus on giving the client the value, not
yes,
just the
yes,
company.
yes. Great. Anything you care to add in,
I want
panels?
to encourage persons when they think of value, not just to think internally from the perspective of what the individual entrepreneur believes should be valuable, but to
Mhm.
pay attention to value from the perspective of the client and their preferences, and also to pay attention to value from the perspective of what competitors are doing. And I will go as far as to say, pay attention to value, even from an international standpoint. Because I'll give you an example. There's so many products that are sold right here, manufactured, created, sold right here in Trinidad and Tobago, that Amazon is one of your bigger competitors. And so we can't just think about, okay, what I doing in my production studio here in Trinidad and Tobago. But if it is a person has an option between purchasing that item from me or ordering it online, suddenly American standards become an influencing
Yes,
factor for
yes,
when, how, and why I organize my production and my marketing and my customer service. So when we think about value, and it is Global Entrepreneurship Week after all, we
Mhm.
must think beyond our borders, even though we're living and operating right here in Trinidad and Tobago, because certainly what's happening outside of our borders are both directly and indirectly
Yeah.
affecting us here locally in Trinidad and Tobago.
yeah.
Well
I love
said.
that point, Alina and Mr. Douglas. It would appear therefore that because of this global, borderless world that we live in now,
Mhm.
from if I take from what Kevin is saying and Alina is saying, it's not good enough to say I did this thing on social media. You now have to compare with what people are accustomed seeing and receiving, the value that they receive when they go online and they see a production or they get a
Yes.
service. If people expect that this service will take 1 hour, you have
Mm.
to be within that global. It's not just a local standard now, it's a global standard. Would you say, Randall?
Definitely. And certainly, what I do like to do is to stitch the thread as woven so far by Kevin and Alina in terms of the idea that understanding what the standards are and understanding that the standards are no longer just something that you might only read in a book or see online and that
Mhm.
would be considered what we would call in traditional marketing a big particular market segment. There are now smaller subsegments that have been created or exposed
Mhm.
rather by
Mhm.
the recent pandemic and the movement towards online and heavier emphasis on social media. And the buzzword or the thing that people are using is an old word, which is community. So it's very important to identify the community that your product or services will appeal to and then be able to tap into that community. Or if you are unique in your offering, you can create your own community and have people join it. But
Yes,
you also have to be aware of what is expected by that community, as you mentioned, in terms of speed of service or delivery. And it's important for you to be very honest and straightforward about what you can and can't do because people will allow or give you some leeway, but you have to be authentic. You have to be honest from the word go. The time
yes,
for being slick marketing things and all that is by itself is gone. You also have
Yes,
to have
yes.
authenticity to your delivering and to what your product and service is promising.
Yeah, and certainly, if we take, let's say we take the music industry, as an artist, I mean, you have to be on Instagram. I don't know if you can survive if you're not on something like Instagram, or you don't have digital music. You understand? If you're
Yeah.
not there on the Apple and all the different platforms, I can't name them myself, right? If you're not out there, then you're really out of the game. And I think every person, whether you're a hairdresser, you're a barber, you're a landscaper, you have to sit down and look at these trends, you understand, and determine what is the mindset shift that you need to take.
Yes, definitely, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. But I want to put you all on the spot a little bit now, right? Because we want to make this real and we want to make this personal. And I'm sure that in your own business practice, you've had to make mindset shifts, right? I can recall, just about 2 years ago, when being involved in training, right? And Randall can understand this very well. You are accustomed to going out there, seeing people face to face, and you do your training. All of a sudden, that just disappeared. Not only did that disappear because everything was moving online, the value placed on what people would pay for training services changed because people were offering training free. So all of a sudden, what you would want to charge $1,000 for, you now have to charge $50. So if I didn't have that mindset shift, didn't make that change, certainly we wouldn't even be here today, right? So that was my challenge. So I don't know if there's anything that you could share in your own journey of a mindset shift that you've had to make as a result of what's happened over the last couple of years. And you don't want to have to rush the same
All
time.
right. Okay. Well, all right. So one of the things is that the movement to online wasn't a mindset shift I had to make in the past few years. I made that mindset shift in 2011, 2012. So around that time is when I actually started working online, doing things online, even though I was employed. When the mindset shift I had to make recently though was to focus more on training than physical products. That's the adjustment I have to make, because a lot of people call me as, Alina mentioned something about people prefer, well, I could buy thing on Amazon. Why should I buy from you, kind of thing, But that's one of my concerns, is that people still run me down to ask me to get it for them, because they wouldn't know how to choose, because they were so bombarded with so many options. So one of
Yes.
the things, because of the trend or the experiences they've had with me over the years, they say, hey, see all this chaos and all this thing to choose. Let me just call Kevin and let him just choose one for me and order it for me, right? But the thing about it is that the mindset shift I have to make is that I have to move now from ordering the stuff or the technology or whatever it is for the person, and I focus more now on digital products, training products. Now, there are two parts of that. There is one area where people charge less, but the trainers are saying when you're now starting, there's a way to actually charge at the highest when you're starting, and then you gradually go down. And there is still room for that. It's just that people have to learn where it is you can do that. You can't do that all over the place. There are certain places and certain services that you can still offer and charge a pound and a crown for, and then after the next few years you start reducing. But there's a way to do it.
A way to do it.
There is a way to do it. You have to learn how to do it.
Certainly, this is where consultants and coaches like you come in, Kevin, that, or persons listening can, get to you and get some more advice and so forth. So thank you very much for that experience. Randall, anything you care to share about your own mindset shifts? Yeah.
Yeah, well, certainly, as you mentioned, and Kevin hit a touch on it as well, training has shifted from that mindset of being in someone's business, in their, in front of their face, so to speak, to being more aware, and also the way which we train online. So even though, training, you might think is just easy to, let's just take what we do physically and put it on an online platform. It doesn't work like that. You actually have to engage people differently. You have to actually be more creative. You have to engage people in a way in which they will remain interested. And you have to use the technology, which is something that a lot of people are still getting their feet wet about. So whether it's Zoom, whether it's Microsoft Teams, whether it's whatever technology that people are using in terms of doing training or presenting or other things like that, there's a lot of opportunity, and that's something that that we will look at in terms of what sectors are available. But still, there's a lot of opportunity that you have to take advantage of. But you have to you have to get yourself immersed in it and present things in a way that will keep people engaged. It's not just standing up or sitting down behind a screen, behind a camera, and just mouthing off words and saying things in a very lecture-like way. That will not work in today's current environment.
So certainly we're talking here about, Randall, having an opportunity mindset, right?
Sure.
And be willing to engage. And it goes back to a number of points that Kevin shared on knowing your customer, going a little deeper than you would have before. And
Sure.
social media sort of forces you to do that. You have to know if you're boosting or you're sharing something on social media, you have to be clear on your target group. So I'm happy for those points as well. Alina, anything you'd care to share?
I actually would, rather than an individual example, I really want to encourage persons to keep in mind that having that shift in mindset, um, I want to put forward it shouldn't just be a reactionary response based on crisis. I believe a shift in mindset could be both reactionary and it could also be proactive. Because when I really sat, over the COVID period and I considered my mindset, while a lot has changed in how I work and so on, it actually wasn't reactionary. It was based on proactive measures. So years ago, I began investing in equipment. I would buy a microphone here and there, I'd buy a camera here and there, I bought a green screen here and there, I bought lighting here and there. I was just buying equipment because I said, listen, we're going global. I need to figure out how to position myself and start to learn the thing. And I started buying equipment. So when COVID hit, and all of a sudden, every single meeting, everything I do had to go online, I wasn't scrambling to buy equipment. I had every single thing that I need until I had a colleague actually who really wanted to step up her game. And I'm like, girl, I have some extra mics and I have an extra camera. Come, I'll give it to you. And I gave away equipment because I wanted to support a friend. But it wasn't reactionary. It wasn't because COVID came and I was like, oh my God, what will I do? No, it was a proactive measure where you're just paying attention to what's going on in the world around you and
Yes.
understanding how you want to make yourself available to your clients and then putting the steps in place. Or even when I think of COVID and work, for instance, that I do in education, going online was not a headache for me because prior to, I think school closed on the 13th of March, in January, I had wrapped up setting up an online classroom learning management system for the school. And we set it up, we had it, and it was just sitting there. And I was
Yes.
talking to the teachers about experimenting with how we could use it for professional development. We weren't taking on anything. And when the Prime Minister made the announcement on Saturday that school was going to be closed, on Sunday, our children were onboarded and all students were online learning on Monday morning. It was not reactionary. It's not because I'm the smartest person in the world. I was just being proactive in understanding the market and the trends and positioning myself and the projects that I work with to be able to respond well to whatever may come. I had no idea COVID was coming, but yet I had everything that I needed to
Yes.
easily transition. So, what I would really, from a practical point of view, want to encourage persons to think that having a pivoting mindset is not the thing that you do because you're responding to crisis. It can work that way, but it doesn't have to only be that way. It could also be a part of a proactive experience where we're always self-checking, whether it's the business plan, the marketing plan, the other plan, whatever it is, we're constantly checking and making sure that the path that we're on is taking us to our intended outcome so that as we make adjustments, we're always ready to have that pivoting mindset to adjust and adapt as needed.
It seems, thank you very much, Alina. It seems one of the things that's coming out here very clear, and it's something Kevin mentioned in his seven mindset points, was the need to learn, to unlearn and relearn. Did I get that right, Kevin? And that this is not just about pivoting now, but where we're going, where the future is going, we're going to have to do this all the time. So maybe there are persons listening there and thinking, well, this is just for me to respond to the pandemic and then we get back to normal. No, You're going to have to be doing this all the time so you can be poised, like Kevin and Alina, to take advantage of the opportunities, And thank you very much. And as we say opportunities, that's where we'd like to jump into now. All right. We want to speak a little bit about where are the opportunities to pivot. We've heard about pivoting and the mindset that we need. So let's say we equip with the right mindset. What do we do? Where do we go next? What are the opportunities that present themselves? And to help us delve into this, Mr. Douglas, who we've met already, who is a virtual marketing guru, right? Will guide us. He is a versatile marketing professional with over 26 years in the field. Mr. Douglas brings with him strong corporate experience in sales, marketing, export management, and general management, as well as being an entrepreneur himself. So he brings a real life experience to this whole thing about marketing and finding opportunities, right? So he also provides advice and coaching in any area of marketing that you may need, from market research to feasibility studies and so forth. So we're very happy to have Mr. Douglas with us. So Randall, we're talking opportunities here, and no doubt, this is something from a marketing perspective. This is what marketing is about, right? Finding the opportunities. So over to you, Randall.
Thank you, Roel. Certainly, opportunities, it's a big word, and we have to be aware of what that means. An opportunity can mean making a change in the way in which you approach something currently. So you may be doing a particular type of business or particularly skilled at a particular type of business, and there's a different way in which you need to change what you're doing, which is, of course, one of our monikers here, which is pivoting, right? But also, it may also mean that you need to recognize that there may be something else that is aligned or complementary to what you do, where your skills may lead you to. One of the things some of you may have heard of, I'm sure you may have heard of the name of Warren Buffett, who is one of America's billionaires. And he said something many years ago, which still is very pertinent today. He said that millionaires are made in recessions. So even though we had a great pandemic going on, happening, and probably hopefully receding, there's opportunity, and people can be made millionaires in opportunity. And I'm reminded of a phrase my father-in-law says that, sometimes people get nervous when we talk about money, but money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money. So it's not that we love money, but we're using the opportunity of the skills and the talents that we have in order to build and take advantage of that. So what are the opportunities out there? And certainly what has happened, for example, in the US, and it's a lesser extent in Trinidad, there's been what they call the Great Resignation. People have actually left their jobs after being home for so long because, one, they were burnt out. Two, they didn't want to go back to work for someone and end up feeling that they were distressed mentally and so on. And three, they also saw opportunities that they could develop in order to build business for themselves. So that has happened in a large degree in the US and also here in Trinidad. And those persons have become either entrepreneurs of their own or moved into other types of jobs, and therefore their consumption patterns are now through online means, through social media. So if we're talking about opportunities and sectors, it must be through a digital lens. And one of those things that some of those sectors we can look at are sort of kind of couched in a few key areas. First of all, you have to talk about what I call the personal area. Everybody, because of that feeling of being burnt out, being cooped up at home and so on, are looking and clamoring for things that can make them feel good. So personal items, whether it be personal care items such as, some people have creams and lotions and things like that. Some people make particular food items and so on, that now food was a problem before, but then now some people are delivering, some people are cooking at home. There's opportunity in that depending upon the business and your skill that you have. So personal care and things that serve people in a personal way is an opportunity in a sector that is growing, right? The second key sector that is a potential growth sector is what we call training, as we were talking about with Kevin earlier. And training here is not just traditional training, like what maybe I would have done in terms of training in entrepreneurs and individuals and companies and departments, but also training in anything. Recently, my wife attended an online training course where the lady who was doing it, she was teaching people how to bake, float, as we would say in Trinidad. So float or bake is something that not everybody gets naturally, but she was showing online. She had her cameras, she had multiple camera angles, and she had somebody manning it. And that was something that she gave free, and there is also a paid version that she could do. So that was an opportunity in a sector that in an area that she now pivoted from just doing a caterer herself, but also doing those things online. So training in a different way. That could apply to things like even like learning to sew. Some people are sewing their own clothes at home, whether it is to save money or to create things for themselves and things like that. Then you have the entertainment or creative sector, and Royal sort of touched on this. Trinidad has no shortage of entertainment, creativity. We have to utilize that. We've seen some of those programs online, on TV, in terms of traditional television, in terms of our soca artists, some of our chutney soca artists, and different people performing, both here in Trinidad as well as abroad. That is something, depending upon your skill and talent, you can take advantage of, and that creativity could redound in any area. So again, there's what Roy was talking about, Instagram. TikTok is a big thing, and there are ways in which you can try to partner with foreign companies and foreign entities to sort of monetize that. There's a big thing that's happening there. In fact, I attended a conference recently where they were talking about that Shopify is partnering with TikTok. And Shopify, for those who don't know, is an e-commerce platform that allows you to sell your products online. They're partnering with TikTok to monetize TikTok globally. I'll repeat that. Shopify is partnering with TikTok to monetize products globally. So that is, again, an opportunity that we can look into. And TikTok, if you don't know about it, is all about being creative. There are a lot of trainees on there doing all kind of crazy things, right? And it's working for them. So that's another area. And a final area, so we talked about personal care, we talked about trading, personal type of products, we talked about trading, we talked about entertainment. And then I also want to talk a bit about what I would call traditional retail. Sort of, you have, those sort of things that people sell right now. Of course, e-commerce can be big there. And tied into that is the opportunity in terms of what is, as Royal knows well, fintech, which is financial technology. Short, that's the buzzword for it. Recently, it was reported in an America's Market Intelligence seminar I attended that in Latin America, for example, and our Latin American neighbors are next door, Spanish-speaking neighbors, and our Portuguese-speaking neighbors in Brazil as well. There are 100 million people that are banked but have no credit card. So they are saying MasterCard is heavily investing in how to convert these people. We have our local banking institutions and so on, but we also have our opportunity here to utilize and take advantage of e-commerce as these things grow. People are willing to buy things online and ship it to them, right? And you have to think about packaging in those instances, and about sometimes maybe dual language in terms of, people having both Spanish and English. But it may also just mean making sure that you have the right product for the right marketplace. So those are some of these sectors, just a few, but where there's a lot of great opportunity. And these sectors have emerged because of what's been happening with COVID and all this sort of online stuff. And e-commerce and technology is playing a big part of it. There's a lot of opportunity for growth there. And you really have to make sure that you don't make an excuse for yourself. There's so much information online available, whether it's YouTube, whether it's some of these training platforms such as Skillshare and Khan Academy. There's no excuse about what you can do, and a lot of it is free as well. There's no excuse. And if regardless of what your level of education may be, there's something there out there for you to learn and grow and better yourself to take advantage of these opportunities. So there is the platform, there is that potential for people to tap into, and just a matter of to see where you fit and what you can pivot your current either your current business or any particular skill that you may have into that area where you could take advantage of it for profit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Douglas. Again, so much to chew on. I particularly like your emphasis on training, and what I got, and you can clarify, and we can bring the other panelists on, is that it doesn't matter. Traditionally, when we think of training, we think of going to do some certificate course or some academic training or something like that. But each person with your own skill and talent, can offer training online. And I know a word that is used pretty often is having a mastermind. And we did have in one of our sessions on Financial Fridays, we did have someone who focused on helping persons to do a mastermind with your own skill, whatever that skill is, whether it's sewing or cooking or something that you know you can do very well. Maybe you make the best tamarind ball or the best tulum or whatever it is there more that you can share on this whole idea of mastermind as an opportunity?
But I would just want to add, before I turn over to my colleagues, that that concept is a brilliant concept that people really need to latch on to. And two examples that I can give that I had recently come across. One was, there's an entrepreneur in the US called Gary Vaynerchuk, and he started a business. He took over his father's liquor store, and he developed it into $100 million wine, could call it the wine library, and $100 million wine business that he was selling online. Because that's not what he's doing now. The mastermind concept for him is what we talk about with trading. He recognized that he was tapping into social media and basically building a business. Then other companies, Fortune 500 companies, came asking him, how are you doing this? And he turned into a digital online training marketing agency. And now
Yes,
it's over
yes,
$600 million. You
yes,
understand what I just said? From
yes.
$100 million selling wine to $600 million, right?
Training
Being a
person,
digital
yes.
agency. And so that mastermind concept of what can I tap into, what can I use, and sort of build on that is critical. And I think that's important as you move forward to really look for those opportunities and see what can I leverage and use in
Yeah,
that
what
way.
skill?
Yeah.
But you mentioned two. Did you have another
Yes, the
example?
second one was actually a different story. It was a lady who she was selling soaps in these little neighborhood expos in the US, and of course with COVID that shut everything down. So she started to get worried, and she said, "Okay, let me start making my soaps and seeing how I could sell online." And she had people contacting her who were fellow small entrepreneurs who were selling in these same kind of expos in her state in the US. Oh gosh, how can I get online, and and how can I make this business work as well? And she was selling a few bars of her stuff and a few cases here and there. But then the need for the knowledge grew. People kept calling her, what do I do? How can I do this thing? And she switched. She stopped making soaps, and she actually started to teach and train people how to put expos on online. So
Yes.
she is actually now, her company focuses on delivering these little neighborhood expos and sort of craft expos online in an
Wow.
online way. That's what she does now. She doesn't make soaps anymore.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. Anything you'd care to add on that mastermind, Kevin? The whole idea of a mastermind, and maybe while you're at it, because I know we've had Kevin on. He's our resident technology coach on this whole idea of working online. Which is certainly another opportunity for a lot of persons to work online. And there's some people working almost exclusively online. The work is they get up in the morning, they work online, they get paid online, everything is online. Could you elaborate on a couple of these?
Well, the mastermind actual concept, original, of course, came from Think and Grow Rich, which most
Mhm.
entrepreneurs are advised to read. And of
Yes,
course, is the idea that several of us who are actually in the same circles, when we combine our knowledge and our expertise together and we sit down and we collaborate, we actually get so much more value and we actually create bigger enterprises together instead of separately. So this is
yes,
something that's big. The idea of people collaborating is a mindset shift that has to take place in the Caribbean because we have been so focused on getting piece of the little pie,
yes.
the
Insular.
competitiveness. So
Hmm.
for example, one of the messages I talk about with lifelong learning. The secret to lifelong learning is finding a coach or mentor that you could trust. That's if you could do just that, lifelong learning, finding a coach or mentor you could trust, and and of course the first one of actually using that, all the others are taken care of because the coach or mentor you can trust will guide you through this process to say, hey, are there other people like you who have the same problem, who have the same challenge? And then you come together. Of course, that allows you now to get paid from around the world because there are other people around the world who wants to come into your mastermind. And of course, we covered something called on your program called online payments, which allows you now to use the technology to get paid online. And of
Yes,
course, we
yes,
have all the different tools as Sir Douglas was mentioning earlier about things like Microsoft Teams and Zooms and things that you meet together. And all of these things allow us, of course, we have to be able to now separate now, of course, a mastermind from a coaching session. And that is a separate stream of income. So you, even though you have one line, say if the lady making soaps, the lady making soap could still have a soap business running separate from her. She's not focusing on that. That's a stream of income. But she has a
Yes.
mastermind with others, and she also have a coaching session with others, which is separate.
Yes.
So three streams
Yes.
of income. So one of the big things about the working online principle, it allows you to take the same train or the same product or the same service and multiply it into several streams of income, not having to
Brilliant.
do a different thing if you don't want to. But
Yes.
but if you
Yes.
do one that, you could do it for two different. Some people are multi-gifted, multi-talented. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
I love that point. Anything else you'd care to add to that, Alina?
I would just encourage persons, those who thinking about jumping into the space of mastermind experiences, is to one, be sure to focus on the pain points of the client. Doing a mastermind is not just about what you feel might be a good idea, but you want to make sure you're touching a pain point. You're touching something people actually want to learn about. They actually want to connect and come together to learn more. And I secondly, for persons who are saying to themselves, "Well, I want to do it, but I don't know how. How do I know what to do a mastermind concerning?" And I would encourage persons, consider what comes naturally to you. Consider the thing that you just say, "Oh, that small thing, that easy, that nothing. I could do that with my eyes closed. Yeah, I could do that anytime." Those are your instinctive skill sets that's gonna work well for you, because the fact that it's like nothing to you and other people will be like, "Yeah, little boy, how you getting to do that?"
Yes.
That's your space. That is your
Yes.
space
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And so that is what, those are two things that for persons wanted to step into it but don't know how. I would just encourage them, consider the pain points, make sure you're touching on something people actually want to connect about, but tap into what is so instinctively natural to you. Put some structure and systems to it, so that way you can now build it into a program and make it work. Make your natural instinctive skill set that you've mastered work for you.
Great, and this whole thing about what comes to you naturally, I came across someone who she was actually of Guyanese heritage. So she had this Guyanese way of doing oil dong, right? And she started sharing online, listen, this is how we do oil dong in Guyana. And this thing blew up. You understand? So now it's one, of course, she has graduated from oil dong and she's doing other things now. So it's really interesting how and I guess this is where Coach Kevin and Randall comes in terms of having to guide person, because sometimes you have the opportunity right there, but you cannot recognize it. And I guess this is why having the opportunity mindset is important. But while we're on food, though, I mean, a lot of things that we've observed in the pandemic speak to this issue of going back to basics, right? And certainly there's been a lot of pivoting in the food and beverage industry, agriculture, agri-tech, all these areas. And going back to basics in general, cleaning, sanitizing, a lot of basic stuffs. What is your idea in terms of the person sitting on right now thinking about what opportunity can I jump into? Are these areas valid, or can they jump into these areas?
Well, yes, of course they can. The coaching, finding somebody who can help you, and Lena keep touching on these things. You'll just jump in.
Yes.
One of the challenges I had when I was kind of when I was moving to the online world, 2012, 2013, 2014, even 2015, when people started being aware of it, people start coming to me, "Hey, I want a Facebook page, I want a website, I want this." And I asked, "Why do you want it?" And he's like, "How you mean? Everybody have it, every business have it." I said, "Yes, but what is the reason? What are we trying to achieve?" Because they really just want to jump in because they see everybody have it, right? But there is a process, because
Yes.
you can just have something that doesn't do anything, doesn't help you in any way because everybody's doing it. So the learning is important. And as I
Yes.
said, the amount of niches are explosive. It's just crazy. And what is
Yes.
nice is the Caribbean people are talented, have so many they can offer. Even how to do your hair, how to fix your feet, doesn't matter what the category is. So it's just the idea of showing people, as if we could get something where we bring like a list, of different little things that people are, ordinary things, not big business, but little things that people are doing and actually generating income by serving others through coach, masterminding, training, whatever it is. Little things that people wouldn't think of, and see how people actually generating income from that so that the public will see, wait, people are making money from this, from
Yes.
doing the, as you're saying, the Mr. Douglas saying, the oil down or the other
Yes.
things that the lady brought or the soap. Really? So the idea is bringing more of these things so they realize the little the little talents that they have, the little nuggets that they have, which Alina says comes naturally, which you say is easy for you, which you don't realize can generate income. You start picking up and realize, wait a minute, if these people can make money from these little things, I can do this thing here or these things here, or my
Yes.
sister or my brother, and that will wake up people to realize, yes, the little things you have can do it. Now get into a system to teach you how to do it. Basically,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah.
Randall, what about your thoughts on some of these back to basic everyday things that, people may overlook but are certainly expanding?
For me, certainly, it will be our goal moving forward. Meaning, that not goal as in GOAL, although it could be that as well, but our goal GOLD, in the sense that we have the talent, we have the ability. Just two quick examples I would share. Some years ago, I was investigating a course at Arthur Lockjack, a master's course that I was interested in. And Professor Miguel Carrillo, who was at the time, he was the head of the management department there. And he gave a very good presentation. One of the things he cited is that our ability or creativity, whether it be in food, song, entertainment, you name it, clothing, it is so vast in Trinidad because of our cultural mix. And to take Kevin's point, if we really not look at it as a sort of a by the way, well, yeah, I just do that. And as Alina said, it's a kind of a thing, yeah, that's not a problem, but we don't take it seriously. Other cultures are very serious. They still have fun, but they're very serious about making sure that they can make these things a reality. So you have to
Yes.
intentionally prioritize these things. Intentional prioritization is something that Gary Vaynerchuk spoke about as well in terms of how he made his business successful. You have to intentionally prioritize what you do. It can't be a by the way. You have to be disciplined. And that discipline does not come easily. It may mean you can't lime as much. Or these days you're still not liming as much, but or you can't sit down and just watch Netflix all the time. It may mean that you have to put that extra time and effort in, taking those talents and those skills and really honing it and learning about how to make it better in order to take advantage of those opportunities. It's there, and that's where a coach can help you as well. Because at the end of the day, it's something Rollins we say before, a coach is there to guide you, right, and perfect you. If you think about the sports analogy, what a coach doesn't do the work for you, right? If I do the push-ups, who will get healthier, me or you? Right? It's you. I will get healthy if I do the push-ups, but if you do the push-ups, then you get stronger, you get better. So the coach guides you, but you have to put in the work. You have to prioritize and have that intentionality about it, that I am going to take my skill or my talent and I'm going to push it through. I'm going to have times when I have failure, but I'm going to succeed if I persevere, and I will learn and I will get better. All of these stories that are littered throughout the management and the business world, both locally and foreign, that is this commonality that you will see with anybody you speak to.
Thank you so much. And just a reminder of viewers and those tuning in that if you can ask your questions by indicating in the comment section as #ask the presenter's name _ any question you'd like to ask, or maybe it's a tip you'd like to share. Anything you'd like to add to this, Alina?
I would say have confidence in the qualifications and or experience that you've created. A lot of times people hesitate on stepping out, whether it's to step into mastermind, whether it's to launch a business, expand the business, whatever it is. We hesitate because we lack the confidence to recognize that we have what it takes, that to have the confidence to recognize people want what we have to offer. So it's okay to step out. It's okay to put yourself out there. Even for so many people stepping into the digital world who was nervous about being on camera and streaming live and all the other things that we frightened. I didn't want to call name and point fingers. But there's so many people who are afraid. But I always have to encourage people, listen, you've been putting in months, years, however amount. You've been putting in the work. And if you've been putting in the work and you've been getting the results and you've been making movements in your space, then don't be afraid to share it. Have confidence in the qualifications and the experience. Have confidence in the journey that you've had so far, knowing that as you put together systems and structures, knowing together as you represent it with character and integrity, your skill set will make way for you and you will be able to get it done and get it done well.
Thank you so much for that. It's so important to understand and not despise the skill set that you have. We are all gifted. We're all talented. Just recently I came across a gentleman. I can't recall his name now, but he always liked to do lettering. You do all the different lettering styles and font styles, and people think that, oh yeah, it's a nice thing to do. He was able to further studies in this thing, and he's a professional calligrapher. Did I get the name right? He actually does lettering for the Queen. So when there are certain new laws in England, he's Trinidadian here, you understand? So when certain laws are being enacted and they have to do it in that special way, he is hired to do it in the special font. So you see what I'm saying? Whatever skill and talent you have, you never know. But again, we understand you have to be intentional. And I'm taking a little plug here to say, the last Friday in this month, we have a session on becoming intentional on our Financial Friday. So you don't want to miss that. But we're going back to the idea of process. And we know we need coaches. We know we need to research. We know we need to educate. There are all kinds of steps. And Alina, I'd like you to take us into, in our next segment, we understand there's a mindset. We understand their opportunities, but how do we take advantage of these, right? So we're going to ask our last presenter, Alina, to delve a little bit more into this. And just to give you a little background on Alina, Alina is a success and impact coach and been doing this since 2008. She has mentored numerous entrepreneurs and guided them through launching, revamping, and even restarting their business. So she can speak about pivoting. Over the years in experience in business management and being an entrepreneur herself, she's well known for her ability to create interactive learning environments, and her success is testament to a proven track record of the many satisfied customers, right? So what Miss Lewis is about is holistic support, all right? So she's the founder and principal coach at Launchpad Consultancy, and we're so happy to have her as part of, of the support team here at what we're doing, and certainly one of the partners here. So Alina, take it away. What are some of the steps and processes that we need to keep in mind so that we can pivot effectively?
Yeah, thanks so much. Super happy to be here. Happy Global Entrepreneurship Week, everybody. It's awesome when we could come together to talk about this whole concept of pivoting and pivoting to profit. One of the things I'm sure a lot of persons may have in mind is asking themselves, what are the key steps to be able to pivot in your business? So I just want to share a couple of points, which is firstly, and I know Randall's touched on it, but I want to remind us, focus on a feature. We can't get into the whole idea of pivoting and we want to pivot everything in the business. No, take a look at your business, take a look at your business plan. Hopefully, you do have one. And if you don't, check in with VisionWorks, they can help you. And you want to be able to take a focus on a particular feature. Because as you choose that feature, what you're going to be able to also do is choose the adjustments that are required in order to align your business with what is happening. As I would have mentioned earlier, I really believe that pivoting could be reactive, but it could also be proactive. Whichever one it is, though, it means you're aligning your business with something, you're aligning it with a goal, an intended outcome. And when we give and we're able to identify that feature and make adjustments to align with the outcome we want, that is how we get on track on that journey to start in this pivoting process. But if we're pivoting, it means it's not just an internal process. It's not just about what's happening with us. Pivoting is also about understanding that the changes we are about to enact is going to identify our customer base. So ensure that you identify the target audience and the problem that you're trying to solve. Because again, pivoting isn't just about saying, let me switch up the business. No, we're being very intentional about what we do, when we do, how we do, and why we do. So we know we're focusing on a feature. we know we're going to make adjustment that aligns with the intended outcomes. And once we've identified that, it allows us to say, okay, this is the target audience I'm making change in order to support because I'm trying to solve this problem in a new way. Be aware of what your competitors are doing, because even as we spoke about value, Kevin Sandy earlier spoke about value, and we also talked about understanding value from the competitor's perspective, because this is going to help us be able to shape some of those changes, because we have to be competitive in the market. So pay attention what's happening in the field, so that way as you tailor your new strategy, you're going to be able to maximize internally your business strengths. You're going to position yourself to overcome weaknesses, position yourself to take advantages of opportunities in the market, but also guard yourself to defend against threats that might come. And once we do that, then that is your indication. It is launch time. You're able to get out there and say, let me give this concerted effort to making the pivot, because the pivot is just a nice fancy word, but I'm about to make a change to be able to cater to the specific circumstances, the environment, or maybe the challenges that are being experienced in the business. Now, I listed these points. I could imagine you trying to maybe make a checklist, but I want to remind you it's not necessarily a linear process. It's not necessarily, okay, this is the specific order in which you must take to do this pivoting. No, it could be linear, it could be iterative. You could go back and forth. You could start on three and go to one and then hit six. The point is, you do what is necessary to position yourself to make the changes that are required in order to achieve the intended outcome. Now, failure is something a lot of us get concerned about. Oh my gosh, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? But you know what? I wanna challenge our mindset. I want to challenge our perspective. If the changes, if the adjustments that we make, it's not perfected, if it is, it doesn't work exactly as we wanted it to be, does that mean we feel sad and sit in a corner and pout? No, no, no. Let's have some perspective. What really is failure? Have you failed? Or is it that it didn't work? So it lets you know that you experienced a challenge and you need to keep on working, or you need to connect with a coach, you need to connect with some more training in order to get the results. Is it that it's failure? Or is it that really what that was a stepping stone for you to get to the next level? That what you were initially planning didn't work as you thought it would, but you're now stepping up to the next level. Is it a failure if it doesn't work exactly as you planned? Or is it an indication that more adjustments are required? Maybe you weren't as thorough as you could have been, and putting in some more work, or paying attention to some very specific detail, whether in your target demographic, whether that detail be in your marketing plan, in your production schedule, in your customer service. Some more adjustments are needed. So I want to challenge you, when things don't work exactly as you wanted to, don't necessarily jump to the conclusion, oh my gosh, I have failed. No, let's adjust our perspective. We could be challenged and we can overcome challenges. We could have a stepping stone in front of us and we can overcome that stepping stone, and we can make adjustments. So know that with in being intentional and putting in the hard work, you can get to where you want to be, which is the intended outcome. And if you need somebody to hold your hand, don't be afraid to reach out for support. Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago, the local body endorsing Global Entrepreneurship Week right here in Trinidad and Tobago, they offer mentorship programs and so many other support systems. Reach out to YBTT. If it is maybe that's not an option for you for one reason or another, then think about VisionWorks and its partners. The same way VisionWorks is coming together to put on this webinar series, tonight being the first, and we're going to be having some more things on Thursday and on Saturday coming. So make sure you look out for the promo for that. Connect with VW partners. These are groups and individuals that have been in business for years, for decades, supporting micro businesses, small businesses, large corporations, government institutions, you name it, VisionWorks partners, they've done it. So you have organizations like the Timely Entrepreneur, Ingenuity Business Solutions, Launchpad Consultancy, LSC Productions. These are all entities working along with VisionWorks, and all of these offer services to business owners to say, hey, you need to pivot to profit. We have the expertise to support you. And don't forget institutions like Export TT and NEDCO, which are governmental support agencies. Reach out, because guess what? Things that we thought could never work, suddenly it's working after COVID, right? We have organizations like Skip the Line. We have apps like Food Drop and We Eat. What about Deliver Me TT, Planting Seeds Program, the Green Thumb Growers TT? All of these have flourished so well in the pandemic. And it just goes to show and to remind us that when we put in the due diligence and we take the steps, remember these two words, guys: systems and structures. When we ensure that there are systems and structures, we pull back, we reflect, we analyze, we get that action plan going, we get the support that we need and step out, we will be able to all pivot to profit no matter what area or industry. So I truly hope that these points would have been helpful for you as you position yourself to pivot to profit. Roll, back to you.
Yes, Alina, thank you so much. You said so much in that short space of time there, about being proactive, you spoke about being intentional, focusing on a feature, right? How to overcome failure, finding a coach and so forth. But I wanted to know, as you bring the rest of the panelists back on, if you could elaborate on when you say a feature, could you give an example of what it means to focus on a feature? Could you
Sure.
elaborate? Yes.
Allow me to use LSC Productions as an example. LSC Virtual, which is what it was commonly known as before COVID, provided support to entrepreneurs in the areas of administrative support, marketing support, and accounting and bookkeeping services. But once COVID hit and companies started redirecting, LSC had to redirect as well. So pivoting meant we had to look at, okay, what is it that LSC does that could be done in this environment? Because we weren't looking to pivot everything. We're not looking to say, okay, how we could just switch up everything. No, we looked at the environment and what the environment needed. And this is how we now pivoted into LSC Productions, because now all these companies needed to come online, they needed to stream, they needed to have meetings, and a lot of persons needing to come online but did not have a background in event management and planning. And even when they had a background in event management, they didn't know how to apply it in a digital space. So you find what LSC was able to do was pick a particular feature, which in this case was live streaming and virtual recording sessions. Focus on that feature, identify the pain point, recognize what the market needed, look at the competition, set its prices, and then say, okay, let's launch. And so since COVID to now, in this recovery world, LSC Production has become a staple of LSC Virtual as we support micro and small entrepreneurs as well as corporate entities be able to facilitate quality virtual programming.
Yes, so I take it from what you're saying is that, when people think pivot, they're thinking that they just have to change everything. You are saying that they can pick a particular part that maybe there's the greatest pain point and greatest value for a potential client and work on that and build out. But I want to raise the issue, though, of digitization. And I would really like the panel to help clarify the difference between digitization and digitalization. I don't know. Those are terms that are being thrown about. Are they the same terms? They talk about digital transformation. Are these essential for pivoting? As we pivot in this climate, do we have to digitize? That's the question I'm asking.
Well, certainly one of the things that in my research that I've come across and that my understanding, and I'm sure Kevin will have put his stamp on it here as well when he comments on it. There was a very interesting study I saw, a paper from a UK university, And basically, one of the things they spoke about in terms of making a distinction between digitization and digitalization is certainly that digitization is the process of moving something from what we call the analog. Remember the old analog idea of how you dial the phone and things like that. So where now you're talking about something that is more technologically founded in terms of moving from that analog into a virtual and digital world. So replacing a book, for example, as they were citing in the university's case in the library, with an ebook, right, is digitization, right? Digitalization now is a different spin because it puts the customer at the forefront, right, at the heart of the whole transformation. And Kevin touched on this earlier. It's about thinking, what does my customer need, but in this space now, in this kind of framework, in terms of when you talk about digitalization. So you can't think about it just, well, and Alina was saying as well, you can't just think about it in terms of what my business has to do and I have to change everything. No, what is the core thing? As Royal knows, I'm an Apple fan with everything probably except the phone, which is a little too much money for me. But I love my Mac and my iPad and so on in terms of my notebook, my laptop. And Apple recently spoke about it. They build their things from the core outward. So what does the consumer want first before they think about designing the chassis and the framework and all of those things? Then they build the chassis and the framework, and then they tell the technical people, okay, fit stuff into there. Right? Fit stuff into there because this is what the consumer wants. Don't give me something and I try to fit it around your technology. This is what the consumer wants. This is what it must look like. This is how it must function. And these are the parameters. You fit your stuff now into there with the performance we're looking for and all this other stuff that is important. So I think it's that, at least from my perspective, from a marketing perspective, with the digitization and digitalization as a distinction, customers are forefront is what digitalization is all about. And my colleagues on the panel have been talking about that. How can we tap into that by looking at your business, looking at your skills and competencies, and maybe pulling out one or two key areas and really working it with discipline to achieve or pivot into a different of experience and a different advantage or an opportunity for yourself.
Okay, thanks a lot there, Randall. Anything you'd like to add, Kevin? And do we as far as the pivoting process, the steps, do we have to digitize? Is this essential for us? Or can we pivot today without doing it?
Well, I think I think Randall really covered it, yes. You don't really have a choice.
Didn't mean to steal your thunder, Kevin. Didn't mean to steal your thunder. Sorry, what?
No, but nobody covered it. You don't have a choice. I don't think you have a choice.
Yes.
I think one of the challenge. I was thinking about something here when we were talking about pivoting, and one of the big challenges I think we have, and I know that from connecting with customers I've had and so forth, is the emotional challenge to make the adjustment. The when we talk about the traditional mindset and the fact that you have to now change this thing, there is this emotional attachment people have with their business and what they do and how they do it that it's heart wrenching sometimes. I'll use a relationship word, right? But I don't really mean relationship. You have to not divorce they feel like if they're divorcing what they've been working with and married to, this thing for so long. They feel it. It's an emotional. So it's not that intellectual. It's a lot of emotions that goes into it. So it make it challenge for people to make the change, to make the adjustment. As much as they might have the information and they know they have no choice, the emotional adjustment to make that adjustment. That is why it's so important to find a coach you can trust to help you, even not just to do the work, but to make the emotional and mental adjustments that I have to do this thing.
Yes.
As Randall see, yeah, that's really challenging.
Kevin, I wanted to add something, Kevin, that kind of highlights that. There's one of my clients that I work with. Some people know the name well. Market Movers. They sell organic and other produce online, and really great company. Rachel, Rennie, and David Thomas. But one of the things Rachel says sometimes when she gives, because she gives it back all the time, she pays it forward. So she's always giving a lot of speeches and talks to entrepreneurs, and as they've done well. And one of the things that she said in a session, I told her I would steal and use it, but I always quote her name, so it's not that I'm doing it without her knowing. She said you must love your business, but don't be in love with it. So you must love your business, but don't be in love with it. And what that means is that, in the traditional sense of stereotype way of saying it, love can make you blind. When you're in love with somebody, you're good boy, you can't see your way and anything could pass. And people always say, well, how you so? How you getting on so, boy? And that sort of thing. She says you must love it, but don't be in love with it, because when you're in love, you're blind and you miss things. And that's what Kevin was saying. You miss things and you miss opportunities, and you miss. Alina was saying it as well. You miss things that, okay, I'm getting criticism, but I'm getting defensive. No. So don't be in love with it, but love it. Love it, be passionate about it. But don't be so in love with it that you miss things and you hold on to things. Even your business name, even your business logo. I've had clients who didn't want to let go and it just wasn't working for them. And it was difficult for them. And I understand why. I was the same way as well with certain things. And you have to be able to step back and say, what does the business need? What does the business need to be successful in this space that it's operating in? And if I can do that, then it's great. So love your business, but don't be in love with it. And just as an aside as well, I wanted to say, don't be afraid to fail, as the leader was saying. A kite rises against the wind, not with it. Yeah, if you think about it, a kite doesn't, a kite, you don't get a kite high up in the air by just letting it go with the wind. You know what will happen if you ever fly a kite, it will be on the ground. So you have to
Yes.
pull against the wind, and that's how the kite gets higher. So don't be afraid of
You
failure.
need the resistance. Yeah.
You need the resistance in order to grow and to get higher.
Wow, tremendous, tremendous. Anything you care to add there, Alina, before we
I
wrap
just,
up? Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what Randall said um, just a moment ago, and he talked about the business and what is best for the business. Because again, the in love syndrome. Sometimes you're so focused about what we want to get out of the business that sometimes what we want to get out of it is not what's best for the business. And if we keep that in mind and we look at it in the context of the discussion about pivoting then becomes very easy because all of a sudden you're realizing that whatever you're doing before wasn't working to produce the intended outcome. So then the solution is pivot. Because if you are acting in the best interest of the business, there is no need to hold on to the things of old. And sometimes it may mean recognizing that certain services you mightn't be producing or providing anymore. You might cut off one of your production lines, whatever the it may be. You may be working online all day instead of face-to-face meeting. Because I know people who have given up their businesses under the guise of waiting for COVID to finish because they just did not want to conduct meetings online. So, what is in the best interest of the business? And when we put the needs of the business first, pivoting becomes a priority, it becomes effective, and it becomes a way of entrepreneurship for us all.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. This has been such a great discussion about pivoting, getting the mindset set right, taking advantage of opportunity, understanding the process. I mean, there's so many things I have here, even questions more to ask, but I know, all good things we know we have to put on pause for a while because we are coming back. But before we get into that, I'd just like to, as we leave and we wrap up, as a point of leverage, maybe there's that one thing that will cause the greatest leap in terms of people's ability to pivot and take advantage of opportunities. What would you share from your own experiences or other clients that you've seen as that one thing that will cause them to make that significant leap in moving forward? And I want us to keep in mind, the wide cross section of persons. We have young persons, we have persons who have been unemployed, we have persons in a variety of very manual type tasks. What when we come think about it, what would be that one leap, that advice that you would give that would give them the greatest leap forward in terms of pivoting? As your closing comments.
Well, I would use the lifelong learning by finding a coach that you trust. Find
Yes.
someone who you look where you are, where you want to go, see where you want to go. They're producing it, they're doing it. But additionally, they talk about their weaknesses. They're real. They're not just talking about what they're making, what they're doing. They're coming down to show, they're talking about their failures as well. You want somebody you can trust, not just in public circles, but you have a window, you can ask questions about the private life. You want to make sure that the private and the public life is the same. You can trust them because you want to be able to follow what they have to say. They because also you're seeing where they are, where they have done, where they have come back from.
Yes.
You don't want somebody who have everything perfect. That's
Yeah.
a disaster. You want somebody who have been through the ruckers, right?
So that's sort of like mentor and coach. You know, you're
Yeah.
learning from the personal
Well,
life.
well, one of the challenges that, okay, so we can separate them. For example, I have a mentor. The mentor has to do with somebody who I pattern my life after. The coach now has to do with the person you want to achieve certain benchmarks, certain standards in your operations, in your vision. All right.
Excellent.
It's good to have a lifelong person who you're really patterning your life after, not just your business, your life, your marriage, your whole framework, your whole belief system. But then that person might not be able to help you with administration in your business. You might need a
Yeah.
coach to deal with the problems there, or the
Yeah.
financial
That's
or whatever
what
it
they
is.
call Alina.
Yeah, you call Alina, right? But fine, that's the idea. So Alina is here. You say, hey, this person I need because this area is challenging, and then your mentor should be able to guide you to see you're having a problem with this area here. You need to find somebody to help you with that. So that
Great.
way, you get a coach who you can trust, as I say, to deal with those things. That will
So
handle a lot of stuff.
so great. So coaching as the a critical skill to help you make that pivot leap. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much, Kevin, for your contributions. Randall.
Well, for me, just a key takeaway or key thing to leave with from my part or my perspective and my experience is really mindset. I've dealt with so many business persons, male, female, young, old, every race, creed, color, class over the last 20, 25 years. And one of the common things is mindset. The ones who are successful are the ones who they may not have the most education. Some of them may not even have a lot of O levels. It doesn't matter. What it is determination, the willingness to learn, the willingness to listen. And they will take whatever opportunity that presents itself and say, how can I then make this work for my situation or how can I take that opportunity and make it work for me? And that mindset is important. And many of us today, when I speak to persons who are involved in business or want to get into business, fair is okay, but you must have that mindset of being that determination that I'm going to keep at it, I'm going to succeed, and I will learn and get better. And you could, if anybody just goes on YouTube, one of my favorite communities on YouTube for me, I love is technology. And if you just Google about any kind of technology, cell phones, laptops, whatever, you will see the breadth of people who are now talking about it, having millions of views. I mean, young, old, big, small, doesn't matter what they look like, and they're all popular. They all have the community. So
Yes.
it doesn't matter. You just have that mindset that I can find my way and I can succeed. But you have to have that mindset that I'm going to keep pushing no matter what, and you will find that opportunity. You will take advantage of that and make it your own.
Thank you very much, Randall. It seems like we can't escape Kevin. The whole learn, unlearn, relearn. That seems to be the theme throughout. Alina, you have the opportunity to make the final remarks.
Systems and structures. I think
Yes.
one of the biggest challenges for a lot of people is making decisions based on emotions. It's good to have emotions, it's good to like all we're doing and all of that. But we can't drive a business. We cannot drive a business solely based on how we feel and the excitement that is bubbling on the inside. There must be some system and or structure that you're working with that guides you, sets principles, puts you on a trajectory that says these are the steps I'm going to take, these are the persons with whom I'm going to be accountable, these are the services I must engage, and this is how I'm going to execute. And that is how we ensure that the pivoting experience is a successful experience for the purpose of generating the intended outcome, which for most people is profitability. So systems and structures.
Systems. So this has been excellent, guys. We have, the need for having a coach, being determined, lifelong learning, and having systems and structures are some of the key takeaways in terms of making that pivot. And I want to say a special thank you to our panelists who've taken the time to be here. Thank you for the support. We've had support through Simone, Nickham, one of our coaches, in the comment section there, interacting with persons online. Thank you so much for LSC Productions and this session today. And of course, our partners, Launchpad Consultancy, Timely Entrepreneur, and Ingenuity Business Development. We thank you so much for being partnering with this program. We're happy for all of you that were part of the session today, and trust that what we shared today, you're able to take some of it and hone it. And of course, reach back out to us. You know, you can check us online, check our promos on VisionWorks Solutions and on Facebook. You can find out more about any of the coaches or any of our programs. But in particular, we want to highlight what's coming up next. You know, this week has been made possible through the work of Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago, and we're very happy that they've, you know, helped put this thing together so we can all partner and reach you. But we have a session coming up on Thursday, which is we're going to take our discussion today and try to put it into a plan so that you get what we call a pivot makeover. So on Thursday at 5:30, right, we have a session called the Pivot Makeover session. So in this session, participants will be guided through step by step to produce and develop a future-driven pivot roadmap. So at the end of the sessions, you will have completed a review of the business environment, all the trends, develop your own SWOT, which is your strengths and your weaknesses and your opportunities, develop your business model, how you make money, and then put an action plan together. So you don't want to miss this, right? So continue to look out for our promos, continue to look out for more of what we have coming up at VisionWorks along with our partners, and we hope to see you in our next session on Thursday. Thanks again to YBTT and all the folks there. So remember, you were born to make a difference. You were born to make an impact. Thank you very much. Have a good night and God bless.
Take care, everybody.
Pivot to Profit. Pivot to Profit. Join the VW team for Global Entrepreneurship Week this November. Register for our Entrepreneurial Development Series today.